Hey everyone, Mormon Truther here. And guess what we're going to discuss today? We're going to talk about the secrets of the Mormon Temples. Yep, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about those secret temple ordinances. And there I go again, dropping my stuff, man. I'm just dropping stuff all over the place. Oh, well, Mormon temple rituals. People have a problem with the LDS temple. Why? Because it's so secretive. Nobody knows what goes on there, and the church doesn't talk about it. So they must be up to something evil there. Well, I'm going to tell you. It's true. It's true. I've gone to the temple myself. We get naked, have orgies, do human sacrifices to Satan, and recruit people for ISIS. And if you believe that, I've got some swampland back in the back that I'll sell you for cheap. Come on. You think just because something's not publicly talked about that it's automatically a bad thing or a creepy thing? Or that you necessarily have to know about it? Oh, I gotta know the details or it's bad. Okay? Consider this. Everybody has sex. Married couples have sex in their bedroom. But we don't question what goes on in the privacy of their bedroom just because we're not invited to join or even watch. So why question what goes on in a Mormon temple? It's not as though these people can't join the church and eventually go to the temple themselves. It's not necessarily a secret thing, only accessible to a few special people. Anybody can go to the temple. They just got to take the steps to get there. Okay? And frankly, if you're not willing to take those steps, then it's obviously not that important to you to know what goes on in the temple. Okay? If you want to buy a car and drive it off the lot, you got to pick up the keys, you got to pay the guy, got to have gas in the car, and do it to it. But if you're not willing to pay the guy and pick up the keys and make sure there's gas in the tank, then you obviously don't really care enough to drive the car off the lot. And you could say that that's something totally different than the Mormon temple practices. But if you really think about it, is it? Okay, it's not that big of a secret. Yeah, the people who go to the temple don't generally talk about it because it's a sacred experience. It was special to them. And they regard it as such, just as you regard it as being special what goes on in your bedroom. And you don't sit there and advertise it and invite people to join or even sit there and talk about it. I was like, oh, look what I did. Guess what I did with my wife last night. And any decent human being who has some self-respect generally doesn't do those sort of things. And so it is with the temple. Like it or not, anybody can go to the temple. They just gotta be found worthy. Be a member of the church and be morally clean. Right? It's the house of the Lord. And if you think back to the Bible in the Old Testament, in the Temple of Solomon, only the priests were allowed to enter the temple. The common man was not allowed to enter the temple. Why? Because it's God's house. And the people who came into God's presence had to be clean. Hence the saying in the Bible, no unclean thing can dwell in the presence of God. And if it's God's house and God's living there, you'd be going into the presence of God. Okay? And if you're theoretically unclean, you can't go in. And that's not to say that you don't live a good life and don't live the biblical standards and pray for forgiveness and whatnot. But as per the church, you have to be a member of the church and have to be interviewed to make sure that you're clean. Okay? You may in fact be clean. But unless you're a member of the church and can go through that interview, you don't get in any more than you get to just walk in and see the CEO of a major corporation without setting an appointment with his secretary. That's kind of how this works. You got to be a member of the church. You got to meet with the bishop and set your appointment to go to the temple to see God. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, as far as the temple rituals themselves, you got baptism for the dead. Pretty basic. Baptism by proxy. Not even something that's not public knowledge, okay? We are baptized on behalf of the dead. Okay? We have somebody who does the baptizing and somebody who is the baptized party. It ain't bada bing, bada boom. It's the same as any other baptism. No big deal there. The temple endowment, again, common knowledge, where you go to make additional covenants with the Lord and you get your magic underwear, as you so eloquently put it. Though we do not like to call it magic underwear, we just call it the temple garment. Okay? No big secret. Everybody knows that. It's commonplace knowledge. It's right there on the LDS website. The sealing, temple sealings, temple marriage. It's where a couple goes to be sealed to each other, married together forever, for time and eternity, instead of till just death do you part. Okay? Nothing secret about that. And the same done with their children when they have it, or loved ones who have passed on. You know, they go to be sealed to each other so that they could be a family forever. That way, it's not till death do you part, contract terminated. Okay? That's just what the church and its members believe. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Would any of us really like the idea of till death do we part being enforced? You know, unless you're Jeff Dunham's Walter. Remember when you said till death do you part? Well, a few years in, you're going to realize you were setting a goal. You know, most people generally probably don't think that way, so they want to be able to spend eternity with their spouse or their children. You know, so what's wrong with the idea that there's a way around till death do you part? Nothing wrong with that. And again, it's not really a secret thing. You're being sealed to the people you love for time and eternity. You're being married forever to your spouse and joined together as a family with your parents and your children and so forth. Okay? No big secret there. Okay? Again, this is all public knowledge stuff on the web. You can look it up anywhere. It's even on official church websites. You can find it. It's easy. It's really nothing secret about it. The only reason it's an issue is because people make it an issue. And if they really wanted to know, they could take the steps to go to the temple, just like they could take the steps to buy and drive a car off the lot or meet with the CEO of a major corporation, okay? Unfortunately, there are steps to take in certain instances. And if you're not willing to take those steps, then you don't get to be privy to the benefits of driving that car off the lot or meeting with the big shot CEO or going to the temple. That's just all there is to it. Till next time, I'm the Mormon Truther.